And yes, it's that time of the week again. PPL Live rolling in. We're 11 weeks into the season. Yes, week 11 is finally here. Alpha and Omega are in the balance, and we are getting ready for another week of PPL Live. Starting with our prestige matchup of the week, we have the Skulls taking on the United Players, the Destroyers. All right, Ulysses, first place in the Omega Conference is on the line, the gridlocked Omega Conference. These two teams are tied for first place. The Skulls have the tiebreaker right now, but things could definitely change this weekend. What do you think about this matchup, man?
Yeah, I mean, both teams coming off of disappointing losses. But I got to say right off the bat, I like the Skulls in this matchup. I'll tell you why. Deshaun Watson's back in the lineup. I love this Houston-Baltimore matchup. I think that everybody in the PPL, start your guys on those two teams.
Right.
I think that this could get high scoring. I think that it's going to be an entertaining game. Both teams are rolling the dice here. They're both going with coach defense combinations.
Right.
We saw that work out for the Argos last week. Didn't work out so well for the Destroyers, though. But with the Detroit team that may not have Matthew Stafford, I think that may be
easy,
an edge for
easy
them.
win, right?
But what Derrick Henry did last week, though, that's going to be a major hole in this lineup.
Right.
And then Kyler Murray is not going to be like it was last week this week against the Niners. So I think that the Skulls should, I think, win this one reasonably comfortably. I'm going to give them 125 to the United Players 115.
Okay. I'm going actually the other way on this one. I look at the United Players. They're getting back the major pieces to why they were successful early in the season. They're getting Tom back. They're getting James White back, and they're getting that Patriots defense back against the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are a little overrated on offense right now. I think that the Patriots, now they may not have a 20 or 30-point game. I think that their defense is going to make a big impact in this matchup. Kenny Golladay, it looked like it didn't really matter to him that Stafford was out of the lineup. Jeff Driscoll seemed to be able to find him, I think he hit him on a 47-yard touchdown. So Galladay's not a bad start. Witten's not a bad start. So those are all replacement guys. Cooper Kupp has to step up. I mean, he had a straight donut for the United Players last week. I don't expect that to happen 2 weeks in a row. Chris Godwin, he destroyed the New Orleans Saints last time he played them. I expect that to happen again. And then on the Skull side, I'm looking at their matchups. That RB2, Kareem Hunt tomorrow night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't like Cleveland at all tomorrow. Pittsburgh's defense really opened eyes against the Rams. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with that performance that they had last week, and I think that that'll continue for them. Le'Veon Bell against Washington. I mean, like you said, besides Deshaun, there isn't anybody else that's giving me a ton of confidence on their side. I do like the Vikings D and coach, but in the end, I think the United Players, the Destroyers, get back on track and take steps towards their first Omega Conference title. I've got the United Players winning this matchup 118 to 109. And moving on to the second of our prestige doubleheader this week, we go into the Alpha Conference as the first place Pantheon Cup champion Argonauts take on the surging Baby Gas team. All right, man. You've talked about this. We've talked about this for years, the changing in the guard in the Alpha Conference. But every year, the Argonauts seem to continue to occupy the top spot in Alpha. Is it the time for the Baby Gas team? Do they rise to power? What do you think about this matchup?
I think so. I think that this is their opportunity, and I think they seize upon it. I mean, we're seeing when these two teams last played, both of them really underperformed.
Really,
and
yeah.
I'll tell you the X factor for me in this. It's a position that doesn't get a lot of play unless you got a high-profile guy. The Argos had a high-profile guy. With George Kittle going down, that's an intangible that they can't really place. I'm looking at their lineup. There's not anybody that's going to come close to that skill level. Whenever I look at the matchups, I mean, I think both teams have favorable matchups. Just looking up and down their lineups, I do, though, think that, Matt Ryan got going against a terrible Carolina team. Again, Mark Ingram, play anybody again in that Houston-Baltimore game. Dalvin's the second in the league. I just think that all these are very winnable matchups here. And I think that we're going to see a high. I expect this to be a high-scoring match. But I don't think without a tight end replacement that the Argos can get this done. And I think that the BGT shakes about and gets a win this week. I'm going to say 134. Another close one for the Argos, but they're on the losing side of this one, 129.
All right. I'm going to have to go the other way. When I look at this matchup, George Kittle has not been ruled out as of yet. So we're not exactly sure if he's going to play Sunday. I think that Mike Shanahan was floating a little misinformation to the Arizona media, but we'll see. I'm looking around at this matchup, and there's a few things that jump out to me about this one. Now, DJ Moore really stepped up last week, and I like him to continue that against Atlanta. But where I'm looking at this matchup is at the running back positions. I think that Denver's run defense is going to do a better job than the Dallas run defense did against Dalvin Cook. And I don't think anybody's going to stop Ezekiel Elliott and Josh Jacobs on the Argonauts side. Defenses. When I look at the Niners defense against Arizona, they're out for blood this week. They're going to be, picking up the pieces after that loss on Monday night. And I think that Jacksonville getting Nick Foles back could make some noise against the Colts D. So I like the Argonauts there. The one thing that I will give you is the the receiver position. John Brown as your number 2 is kind of underwhelming when you have a Devontae Adams. I say the Argonauts still find a way, though. I'm going to go Argonauts win this one 130 to 124, and they hold serve in the Alpha Conference. Moving on to our next matchup in the PPL, we have the Gaff Attack taking on Squad Underestimated. All right, man. Squad Underestimated. They may have lost control of their Alpha Conference destiny in that loss to the Baby Gas team last week. The Gaff got a win against the number 1 team in the league, the Skulls. So they're obviously playing spoiler, and I'm sure they would love nothing more than to spoil Squad Underestimated's whole season right here this week. What do you think about this one?
May have. No, Squad is not in charge of their own destiny right now. Only one alpha team is going to go into the playoffs. Okay. And right now, I mean, Squad's not even in the debate. He's not in that matchup. That's the BGT and the Argos.
Wow.
So I think he's going to need help. And right now, his team's banged up.
Okay.
And he can't afford to have guys like Saquon on a bye. We saw it, called it last week. The Gap played spoiled sport on one of the top teams in the conference.
Right.
Showed that he can do it. This is a team that, again, went deep last year.
Yeah.
And has a lineup that can get it done here. I think that he's going to make a coach play. I know this guy. He's gonna wait though. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's gonna find a winner, but I don't think that the Packers coach is worth keeping.
Right.
At this point in the season, I think that there's better streaming options. I mean, I've said it all season. Quarterback has been a position that's plagued both of these teams this season.
Right.
The Gap has Josh Allen against Miami, which I like better than Jacoby Brissett against Jacksonville.
Right.
If I'm being honest. Christian McCaffrey should ball. But again, a lot of these other guys, he's got Mark Andrews, Marquise Brown. I think that that's what can potentially put him over the edge. Mm-hmm. But again, Panthers D, I'm not so sure. I look at the other side, a lot of Rams.
Right.
It's not too bad to be playing the Chicago Bears this time. I think Leonard Fournette, though, Marlon Mack. I think that this is a balanced matchup. I don't see it being blowout. But again, I think that you called it a bit ago. I think the Gas can play spoiler here. The Squad is playing for his life. So if he loses this matchup, he has to win out, in my opinion, mm-hmm. to really to go for that single playoff spot. That I think there's just too much on Omega. You've got too many teams that are in position. And he can't afford to lose, and especially against a team that struggled all season. And I think he does this week. I think that the Gap gets it done. 121. I'm going to give the Squad 107.
All right. I'm going the other way on this one. I think Squad Underestimated has more than enough to get this done, but I think it's going to be contingent on the health of Adam Thielen. Now, as of now, he's questionable, and he's questionable on the negative side. But if he does play, I love squad underestimated in this matchup for a few reasons. Christian McCaffrey should be a big time play against the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons will not be able to stop Christian McCaffrey, especially in a home game for Carolina. I like Christian big time in that matchup. And there was a matchup that you referenced a little bit earlier, Houston versus Baltimore. This guy's got the tight end and the wide receiver. In fact, they're what kept him in that matchup last week. I think that they're able to do that again. I think that they're going to have big weeks, Andrews and Brown. And I think that the Carolina defense has a little bit of room to force a few turnovers on Matt Ryan. He's not the safest quarterback with the football. If Carolina can turn one of those interceptions or fumbles into a touchdown, then squad's looking pretty good. Now, on the other side, what I will acknowledge is that the Gaff got a lot of guys back from the bye. Leonard Fournette, DeAndre Hopkins, and our boy Zach Ertz. Those guys all come back into the lineup for the Gaff, and those guys are all dangerous in their own right. I do like the Rams' defense against Chicago. I don't like Todd Gurley at all. I mean, I know that this is the Gaff's guy, but he's not giving them the production that they're used to over the years. You can argue that they don't have better options, but I mean, I would kick the tires on a guy like Darius Guice or something just to see what he's got. That being said, I think squad underestimated is back against the wall, and I think they come back out swinging. I got squad underestimated surviving 117 to 114. Moving on to our next matchup in the PPL, we go into Alpha as the Mean Machine takes on Only for the Boss. All right, man. The Mean Machine, man. We might have, like I said last week, I think the Argonauts might have pulled the plug on their season. Only for the Boss playing spoiler. They spoiled the Twins' chances of being in first place in Omega. Can they further put dirt on the Mean Machine's grave this week? What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think they can. I saw Patrick Mahomes last week.
Yeah. Wow.
For the Boss, balling out on his bench.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen again this week. This team is the Kansas City Chiefs, and with Mahomes being out for most of the season, it's impacted their win total.
Definitely.
I think having Mahomes back, it's an intangible. We've seen this season on the other side, Carson Wentz. I don't think he's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Kamara, I think that Mean Machine has a solid matchup. It's just everybody's on the road,
right?
And I'm not so sure how some of these teams perform on the road. But I think he's got a lot of quality matchups. But again, you just look at this other side, and there's a lot of Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm just not so sure. Against the Chargers, could be anybody's game, really. But yeah. I think that that's going to be a shootout also. And just by fact of Only for the Boss having so many, I think that he gets a close win here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give it to Only for the Boss, 118, 112.
All right, man. I guess it's a trend. I'm going the other way. The Mean Machine has had the most terrible luck in the league. He's lost, I think, 3 matchups by 5 points or less. He's on a 5-game losing streak. But most of those matchups could easily be W's. I think the only game that they got blown out of, I think, was an earlier season matchup with the Skulls. Other than that, Mean Machine has been in pretty much every game. So it's just a matter of bad luck, just like what's going on with the Gaff, I would say, this season. When I look actually into this matchup, Kamara and Michael Thomas, they were fine, even though Drew Brees struggled mightily. I think that they improve upon those numbers in a cake matchup, and the Saints get back on track, and that's going to really help the Mean Machine. I don't like Carson Wentz against New England. I talked to you about that. I think the New England defense is set up to possibly give him fits. And let's talk about Amari Cooper. This guy single-handedly put the machine on his back Sunday night, and literally almost dragged them to the finish line in a big game against the Argonauts. Didn't quite go down. But Amari Cooper is a future building block for the Mean Machine. He's been a guy they've been loyal to, and his loyalty's been rewarded. I know it's been a tough year, but Amari Cooper deserves some acknowledgement for the season that he's put together so far this year. I hear what you're saying about all of these Chiefs for Only for the Boss, But the Mean Machine has one chief that could possibly offset a lot of the damage that Patrick Mahomes could do, and that's Damian Williams. He's finally gotten a position in that offense, and he's finally able to run. I think Damian has a big game, and that helps offset a little bit of Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill's dominance, as well as Patrick Mahomes. And I think that swings the matchup the Machine's way. Now, I do love Ronald Jones. That was a great pickup for the boss, and I think that guy's developing into a potential keeper. Obviously, Stephon Diggs gets Chris Harris Jr. in Denver, so that's not a great matchup. And like you said, the Kansas City Charger game should be a shootout. So just by that alone, I don't like the Chiefs' defense. Rams against the Bears, they lost to them last year. I think that the Bears might come in there and beat the Rams again. I just like you said, the Machine's got better matchups. I like them all around better. I got the Mean Machine snapping their 5-game winning streak. 135. I say it's going to be a high-scoring week for them. To 121. I think the boss has a big, huge Monday night, but the Mean Machine has just enough to hold them off. Moving on to our final matchup, we go into Omega as Patty's Twins, trying to hang on to one of the wild card spots, takes on the 3-game winning streak, one of the hottest teams in the PPL right now, Appease the Gods. All right, man, you got a lot of inside sources on this matchup. Fireworks should fly this weekend between these two bitter Omega rivals. What do you got here?
I mean, this is a no-brainer for me. I mean, I watched last week. The Twins, I mean, they played a team that didn't play a quarterback.
Right.
Had a head coach loss and lost by more than 40 points. I mean, I don't understand what's going on with the Twins. A month ago, you couldn't have told me that this was the same team. They just haven't been able to put up points consistently.
Right.
And Appease the Gods, I mean, they have. This team, when these two faced last week, this is a duel for league, no doubt.
Right.
And, I mean, and I just don't see this being the same Twins team that we saw in week 3.
Right.
I mean, where Lamar Jackson is playing out of this world.
Woo.
Mike Evans is top notch.
Yeah.
I like that Bills against Miami. I look at the other side. I mean, I'd say not having Aaron Rodgers would be huge for this team, but Aaron ain't right. I don't know what's going on over there.
Right.
And I think that we're seeing the changing of the guard here. We're going to learn a lot about the Twins down this stretch if they stay loyal to Aaron, or if they try to figure something out to figure out the future of the franchise in that area. They've leaned. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was the first draft pick of the Twins when the PPL formed.
Right.
So, I mean, this is legacy here, but I think that it's starting to cause problems. Again, over the last month, they just haven't been able to score consistently.
Right.
And I don't think that there's a guy that's going to be able to replace Aaron at least in free agency. I mean, they're guessing at this point.
Right.
But I mean, the Bears coach against the Rams, I'm not so sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everywhere else, I mean, Appease the Gods has shown that, I mean, they've got a core group of guys that can put up points.
Right.
I mean, and right now, I'm not so sure. I mean, I look at Austin Eckler, been consistent. I expect us to see, Keenan get back in the lineup.
Right.
I'm not so sure about some of these other guys. But I think right now, I just think that, you're seeing Appease the Gods at full strength, and I mean, the Twins won't be. And so, I mean, part of that scheduling, but I just think that right now, like you said, they're one of the hottest teams in the league. I think they continue to score. Got Appease the Gods winning this one reasonably comfortably, 127-108.
All right, man. I guess this is the one matchup we do agree on because, I don't see a way out of this one for Patty's Twins, especially with Aaron Rodgers on the bye and without a viable backup. I'm looking at Tevin Coleman right now. After that 4 TD game, I mean, where did this guy go? He went from 4 TDs to 4 points. I mean, that's ridiculous. I do like Cortland Sutton, but I don't like the matchup. I don't like them in Minnesota, especially they're starting, I think, Byron Allen or some kid, some rookie quarterback. I don't even know who this guy is, and I typically know who guys are. DJ Shark, I don't like that play against Indy. I do like Jack Doyle, and I like Michael Gallup. I think Michael Gallup is probably a guy that probably could stay in the flex for the Twins moving forward. New Orleans defense, Tampa Bay, while you can get a few turnovers in them, they're going to score points. They're going to get yards. So I don't really like that. I like the Bills D way more on Appease the God side. But like you said, man, Lamar Jackson. This brother's from another planet. I've never seen anything like it as far as his decisiveness as a runner and how he can run with guys around him that could hit him, and he's still gapping out. He's still breaking tackles. I mean, they want to compare him to Michael Vick, but Michael Vick never had this kind of wiggle. I mean, this dude can get out of stuff he's a magician out there. I like that to continue against Houston's defense. There's no J.J. Watt, so there's no, dangerous pass rush for him to have to try to avoid. I think he can run and throw all over Houston's defense. Like you said, that one should be high scoring. I love David Montgomery against the Rams. I know that the Steelers weren't able to expose it because of Connor's injury, but I think that there's a lot of room to run against that Rams defense. I think Montgomery's going to have a big show out. And like you said, Evans and Edelman and Hunter Henry, all guys are the apples of their quarterback's eyes. I mean, everything about this matchup screams ATG. I got them winning this matchup in a leave no doubt performance. I said that they get to 145 to 119. I think the Twins won't be able to find that magic without Aaron in the lineup. Alrighty, PPLers, thanks for another great week of PPL Live. May the odds be ever in your favor. Ulysses S. Hate and Gino the Gent.